is TWiP.
All right, let's dive into these photos this week. Here we go. Yeah, Ginger Bearding says I'm all about the yoga. Yeah, I could do that in that room, actually.
No, you
totally
misspelled
could.
that, Ginger Birding. Yogurt. You meant yogurt.
Yeah, no, I'm not a yogurt person at all. I'm more of a dulce de leche Haagen-Dazs or butter pecan Haagen-Dazs guy, you know. All right, first shot up, Troy Miller, is from Joshua Sommerfelt. He says, went back and re-edited an old photo that I took with my first DSLR almost 3 years ago from the JB Charleston Air and Space Expo in the year BC 2018.
Gosh.
Look at that.
That is beautiful. That is really cool. I always love Joshua's edits. He does such a great job of controlling the highlight and the tonality within an image, and I think it gives it a lot of dynamic range. Even seeing it, you know, in the compression that we do on the web, I can always see his touch.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's a bummer that it's not flying, or that it's not, you know, doing some kind of roll or doing like a power burn or a touch and go or something like that, because I think that's where this type of plane is looking its most amazing. But it looks very regal sitting there. I do wish that it would have been a lower angle and without the rope, you know, because a lower angle would have given it a little bit more dominance in the scene. But
I agree. Same comments. My thoughts would be on this shot. I don't really care about that asphalt in the front, and we always talk about having the, you know, not necessarily putting the subject too close to the edges of the frame, which I don't think it's, you know, too close here, but I don't need that foreground area. So I would, in a shot like this, which is all about the plane and the sky that the plane flies around in, I'd rather see less ground and more sky, and then have the plane kind of cheating towards the bottom third of the frame there. Just kind of have it sit there. I agree with the rope. That it's not egregious, but it doesn't need to be there. It looks like it'd be relatively easy just to knock that guy out of there with a clone. And then the other thing is these wings on this plane in the background, I would have taken those out, because it kind of makes your brain think, oh, are those part of this plane? Even though we know it's not. But it's kind of that little optical illusion, which makes it a little distracting. So just knock those guys out of there, and that's the only changes I would have done. I love the processing. I love that he chose to make it slightly warm. You can feel that a little bit. It's got a splash of yellow in the whites in the clouds and in the highlights on the aircraft. But really cool. I like it.
You know, in images like this, I mean, we have the Midway down in San Diego that I've been down to many times and photographed the aircraft down there. And I like to do more of an abstract shapes. And, you know, in an image like this, you could crop in on the cockpit, leave a little bit of that tail fin in there. And you know, you're still going to know what it is, but just the shape and the form is really quite amazing. So it's a cool shot. It's a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
Look at all those people. Look at all those people. Wonder what it's like to be around that again.
I know. Isn't it weird now? Photographs and video date themselves just by the people in them being together and not wearing masks in public. It's so weird.
I have these continuing dreams that I'm photographing a wedding, or I'm at a concert, or I'm just walking around the mall, and this anxiety hits me that nobody's wearing a mask. And in my dream, I'm like, oh no, it's cool. Like it's over, right? Like it's over. But the anxiety's not going away.
I know. Yeah, it's a thing, man. I mean, if you were a hypochondriac before all this, now you're a justified hypochondriac. For one. And, you know, I'm seeing the effects on, you know, young kids that are becoming just paranoid now, you know, mine included, of just worried about stuff happening. But that's a whole different topic about this. Let's see. All right, Joshua, thank you for this shot. All right, next up is Craig Colvin. Craig, remnants is what he says about this one. All right, Troy, what do you think? Remnants. This is just littering. Just plain old littering. Look at that.
I don't know. this is certainly one of my favorite shots, and I think that what I love about it is all the foreground. And normally, you hear me talk about, oh, crop this, too much foreground, more balance. But I think in this case, because of the plane, it doesn't need a runway, it doesn't need a place to go. It's desolate, it's barren. I love the fact that it's far away in the shot. I love the fact that it feels vacant and desolate and sort of left alone. I do wish the clouds were a little bit tighter. I do wish we had a little bit more detail in the clouds right above the plane. With that smooth horizon, that would be very, very easy to fix. But
yeah, this is very Mad Max. Yeah,
Yep.
It's interesting. I'm curious what you think about this. As I look at the shot, I'm like, what is it about this shot? I think it feels very the lower 2/3 of the shot feel very monochromatic, almost sepia, right? And then you get to the horizon and you're like, oh, it's not black and white. It's actually color. There's blues in that sky right there. So that is throwing me a little bit. I don't know if it's throwing me to the left or to the right, but it's and maybe it's a good thing that he's got it, so that there's a splash of color in there to tell the viewer that, hey, this was actually like this, because we now have a point of reference. We all know what a blue sky looks like, and then we look down at the foreground. My world doesn't generally look like that. I don't know. What do you think about that color? The color.
I don't think this image benefits from color. I think that if we went monochromatic, the plane would pop a lot more. Because the blue in the sky and the brown in the foreground would be about the same tone. And you're going to have the sky is already darker than the plane. So the plane itself is going to pop out. And I think that's really where the story is. So I don't think it works as well in color as it would probably work in black and white.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a lot of shots here. Like you were talking about on the last one, getting in close and doing abstracts of this thing, or changing the angle, or maybe even losing the sky altogether and shooting from a higher angle on this, if possible, out here. That's
right.
That's interesting. Throw in a model, put a model on the wing.
Moose said that he tried black and white, but he lost the ground. I don't think you need the ground. I mean, that's just my opinion. I don't think that it needs to be there because it has the sky. Now, if we had more ground behind or vertical behind the plane, you could crop out the sky entirely and then just the plane and the ground. I think we're getting a conflict of, tone and highlight competing with the plane the way that it sits currently. Right.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, he says in the chat that he did a lot of shots with models in here. So somehow I suspected that. I think Craig would do that. Very cool. All right. Yeah. Very nice shot. Thank you, Moose at 408. All right. Next shot is from Armando Brook. Armando says, this real size replica of the Brazilian Albert Santos Dumont aeroplane, it's called the Demo Icelli. It flew in Paris in 1909 after his first plane. As his first airplane 14 bis in 1906. Okay, I'm not sure what's going on there, but let's take a look at this.
Wow.
The model. Look at that.
Yeah.
This should appeal to people like you, Troy, that like to build stuff out of nothing, right?
I like to build things. I cannot imagine building something and then trusting it to fly. I don't have that much confidence in myself. But it's an amazing, aviation is amazing. It's scary.
Yeah.
But it's amazing. And
it's scary and expensive. It's scary and expensive. My older brother used to build these 6-foot wingspan model aircraft, and then put the engine in them and radio control. He was in RC stuff, many decades ago back then. But it was so funny because he spent so much time. He wouldn't let me and I'm the youngest of the three brothers. Me and my second older brother were very close, so we were like Batman and Robin running around terrorizing everything. And then there was the older brother that used to do this kind of stuff and not let us annoying little kids play with his stuff or get near it, or else we get a punch in the arm or something. So he would spend all this time like toiling about it and bragging about it, putting together. Then he would like the moment of truth, he'd have to go fly it. And of course, that's when we were welcome to be audiences, right? So we'd have to come watch him fly his aircraft that we were never allowed to get near or touch or even look at too hard. But I remember he put this one together. It was red. I forget what model aircraft it was, but he's like, we're at some park or something. He gets this thing, he gets it off the ground. It just goes straight up. And then straight down into the ground. Just pieces. We laughed. We laughed. And it's still to this day, that story comes up on holidays.
That's fantastic.
That's what this shot reminded me of, Armando. This is really cool. Although I don't see this one crashing. Well, I don't know.
And it's the power of imagery, right? That whole thing, that whole story you told is why imagery is so powerful, and why I think that it's important that we keep our images as simple and as strong as possible, so that you can really reach those reactions, right?
Yeah.
So if this one had a lot of other distracting elements, you may not have gone to that story in your mind. You may have just been distracted by, oh, look at the big smudge or the cloning tracks or whatever. So
yeah.
With this image, I love the perspective. I think that we could be even tighter. The thing that really bothers me is that it's crooked or it's rotated clockwise from the camera's perspective. And I think that, we need to really just be conscious of balance within our images. And with an image like this, it really wants symmetry. And so, watch those vertical lines and definitely watch those horizontal lines.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, anytime you have this kind of measurable geometry in a shot, your brain is gonna just measure it no matter what. And if it looks like it wants to be symmetrical because you've got lines bisecting it in half and horizontally, then when they're not, it better make sense for the story. So it better been I meant to do that and here's why, versus why did he just rotate it to the left a little bit? But cool. But in any case, it makes us think.
And sometimes, as the artist, as the creator, like we don't see the little nuances, like the balance and the rotation, or the the rule of thirds, or the little things, because we're caught up in the subject, or we're caught up in, we remember what it was like to be there. So sometimes you got to step back and look at the images, from a different perspective, or have somebody else look at them, like Frederick. He's super critical about that. You got to have him.
Yeah, exactly. I am very critical, though. It's just like that story I posted. Why am I focusing on you here? Just like that story I posted, that video from Sean Tucker. It's criticism and constructive criticism and opinions and thoughts and all that stuff are just, it's ethereal. And it's so interesting that Lamb got us kind of thinking down that road of what is constructive criticism, and do critiques help, or should you be doing your own thing, etc. It's just it's a moving swirl of subjectivity. It's not an answerable question. It's who you are, what you shoot, who that other person is, what their worldview is, what their level of talent is and authority to be giving you comments on yours, what's your ability to take the feedback. It goes on and on and on. So
I
love it.
I know.
So all of that to say that does not relate to Erik Pronske's shot at all. Erik says 50 caliber shells, B-17. There appears to be a funky pinkish color shift in the right window that's not in the original raw TIFF. He said this is a bucket list item to fly on a World War II B-17, a sepia tone and some grain added to the image in Capture One. We pay tribute to the over 50,000 American airmen who lost their lives flying for our country during World War II. Absolutely, my friend.
Wow. Look at that. And it's a wooden box. I'm always amazed when I walk through these older planes to see the materials that they use to build things. And that's a wooden box. It's only gonna last so many times. So they had to build them fast. I do love this perspective though. This is such a unique perspective where you can see the propellers, they're spinning, so you can see that the plane is moving. You have a slight horizon line in the right window with the rounds in the front, that magazine. I just think that it's a really, really cool perspective.
Yeah. Yeah, it just makes you, when I look at the shot, it makes me wonder how big are those, we approximately know that they're 50 caliber, but like how big is it? Is that like, can I fit it in my hand? Is it as large as a flashlight? How big is that thing? Uh-oh. You got one, Troy? Troy's looking for one. Let's bring him up.
No,
Troy's looking for a 50 caliber.
No,
that's
this is
30?
a 30 millimeter. Yeah. Jeez. Look. Compare that to my phone.
And that's a max, right? Yeah.
Yeah. That's big. My 50's in the garage. I don't have it out here.
That thing will leave a mark for sure.
Yeah, they're big. Yeah, they're big.
The cool shot. So what do you think of the pink cast? He was talking about the pink cast in the window. I see it. What he's talking about down here. What do you think about that?
I don't really see a pink cast. And maybe it's just maybe there is a little bit. These glasses pull a little bit of that blue out. I don't see it. It doesn't really bother me. The sepia can tend to go a little bit magenta. And that's just a matter of the formula that you use to create that sepia. Some people do see a lot of magenta in sepia, by the way. It's just the way that their eyes work and see that color. I don't see it. I like this treatment. I think it's great. I'm really happy with the highlight and the shadows that are going on in here. There's just enough detail in the shadows, but the highlights work for me. There's 3 elements that I can bounce my eyes around to, and I'm not overly drawn away from one element or another. So I love it. I think this is great. This is really well done.
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, it definitely pulls you in. This is definitely a point of view shot, right? Because you can kind of feel like you're the guy, like, just like, you're sitting in that window wondering if you're coming home or not. Crazy.
Oh, geez, I know. Yeah, I can't. Yeah, it's hard to imagine flying in those things.
Yep. Very cool shot. Erik Pronske, thank you for sharing that with us. All right. Next shot is from Lamb. Let's see. Lamb says, my entry for the photo critique, aeroplane electric model fighter plane hung from the ceiling above. It's roughly $200, complete with battery and charger and remote control. You have to use your smartphone at LCD monitor. Yeah, just like our drones. It's like the drones that I have. Different?
That would be fun. Yeah, I only flew one airplane. My dad got a model airplane for Christmas. And it was one of those, they didn't have a throttle on it, right? Like you put nitro in it and you pulled the thing and it took off. And I had never flown anything with a remote before. And I remember we took it over to the school and it went and it came down and I finally got it to hook and it almost ran into my brother and then it flew right into a ball wall. Remember those ball walls that we used to have? It flew right into the ball wall and exploded. So
all the
now
tests.
I don't fly anything that doesn't hover. So
there you go. And it used to be the opposite. It used to be the fixed wing aircraft were the easy ones to fly, and the model helicopters were like, okay, if you got a lot of disposable income to figure it out, forget about it. So, and now it's you press a button and the thing hovers at whatever altitude and whatever direction you want. I took mine out, what is it? What are they called now? The Mavic? It's not a Mavic anymore, right? The Mini. Didn't they change the name?
I don't.
Anyway, whatever. My little drone. Yeah, I know these marketing people. But yeah, I took it out and I was like, let's do a little range test because I was getting bold. I took it out over an agricultural area. It was, I want to say, at least 2+ miles away this time. No appreciable interference or power lines or anything nearby. And I start getting these errors, lost contact with aircraft. And I'm like, it's gone. That thing is gone. Let's just hope it doesn't fall on somebody and hurt them too bad. So, of course,
You're getting rated, buddy.
I know. I put the return to home thing, hit the return to home button, and about an excruciating 60 seconds later, which anything can happen in 60 seconds. 60 seconds later, it starts beeping and it's on its way back, and I can see its feed and it's making a beeline back towards me. But scary, scary. I almost lost a drone. I wasn't really worried about the drone too much. I was more worried about it like doing some damage to somebody or property or causing a car crash or something. So, but I got it back, and now I'm afraid to fly my drone anymore unless it's like 3 feet away from me. It's like, okay, it's not gonna get away. It's right there. But over to
welcome Raiders.
Oh, we're getting raided! Woo! Raiders of the Lost Art. Welcome. We're
just critiquing an image that we haven't talked about the image yet. We've been talking about drones.
We're talking about drones because this is a radio controlled aircraft, or iPhone or smartphone controlled aircraft. Which, yeah. Have you ever flown a drone with a smartphone? Have you ever tried that?
I did, yeah. I fly. When I fly my Mavic, I'll fly it with the phone. Keep it close, but yeah, it's super easy, super quick.
Yes, it just feels super sketchy though, because it's just like, I want a full like rope of wireless connectivity between me and that drone. I don't want to be like, oh, okay, I got a notification and it's gone now. Yeah. Anyway, about the shot.
I've already crashed my drone several times.
I know. Yeah. What was it? 2 years ago? Year and a half ago? You crashed one out of a tree or something?
So just if you're gonna fly near a tree for any reason, walk all the way around the tree because they're 3-dimensional objects, and sometimes there's a branch that's sticking out that you can't see, and your drone flies right into that. Yeah. And then it took me a case of water bottles to get it out of the tree. So be careful with that.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Now my drone flies like this. It doesn't actually sit still. So
yeah.
Anyway, Lamb.
So give us your thoughts on the shot. Give us your thoughts.
It's a fun shot. Yeah, it's a fun shot. Clearly it's hanging in a store. We've got the right wing cropped off, things like that. I wish if the background was darker and the plane was lit a little bit better, it would have a little bit more appeal photographically. But it's a fun shot, and it's something for us to look at and remember. So.
It's when I look at this shot, I was initially looking at it with like, well, let's apply the rule of thirds and cropping and composition. It's not really that kind of shot. This is more of a fun shot that he took when he saw something interesting.
Right.
So,
right.
But cool. All right. Thank you, Lamb. Appreciate you. Right. Next shot is from Ernest. What does Ernest say about this? That is really cool. He calls this one conundrum plus 1 second. Or is he saying plus or minus 1 second? He says, the reason for the large black on the last image was because the images you're shot on a light box, aka the white screen, which is okay. He's talking about the last one. All right, let's take a look. Oh, what does he say? Never any bum hurt critiques here. Always a grain of salt. Yeah, good.
Good.
All right.
This is one of my favorite shots for sure. I just love the symmetry of what's going on. The thing that I really struggle with is the balance within the frame of the photo. I don't see a purpose for it being off-centered all the way to the left. I think that we could bring that back. In actuality, I think that if you wanted to put space for the planes to travel into, I think you would want to put it on the left side, because the plane with the sunlight is the one that is drawing our eyes. The plane that's at 9 o'clock. Mm-hmm. And that's really the hero of this shot. So if you want to give them a place to go, that would be the plane you do it, not the right side. But this is something that I think should be balanced within the frame, equal weight, left, right, top, bottom.
Yeah, I agree. And I probably would have lost those. I don't know. I'm curious. we talked about this, I think, last week. There was a shot with a poof of clouds in the bottom there that we are discussing whether if it makes sense to have those there or not. I'm there again with this one because on the one hand, I like to see the clouds down there in the lower right because it says, oh, wow, they're above the clouds. But then again, of course, they're above the clouds. They're in these things that are designed to be above the clouds. So do we really need the cloud layer down there, or would that removing that element make it an even stronger image, especially if you punch in like you're talking about, Troy, and center this thing?
Yeah, I would have to see the crop, but I'm kind of looking at where I might crop it. And I think that if we cropped it, I think we would lose the clouds, which I'm okay with. I don't think we need the clouds in there. I just think that the brilliance of this shot is this timely moment, this peak of action. And it just screams to me to have balance within it. And Mark is asking, WorkPix360 is asking about black and white. I struggle with black and white with this image because I think that you're going to get a lot of deep grays, a lot of gray tones that don't really pop. And the image is already suffering from a lack of contrast in the core. So the smoke trails, we could bring the highlights up in there, focus in on that one red plane at 9 o'clock. Maybe then black and white would be okay if you pulled the background down. So you create 3 layers of tonality. Could work. But a straight conversion where it's at now, I don't think it would look good in black and white. I think it'd go flat.
Yeah, I agree. I think, as you were talking through that, so I agree with the crop. Absolutely go as symmetrical as you can with this guy. I would have gotten rid of the clouds. But on the black and white treatment, I don't think I would have gone black and white with this one because I like the pop of that plane that you said the sunlight's hitting at 9 o'clock. But I probably would have desaturated the other 4 planes. Just, not make them monochromatic, but just knock those reds and the brights down just a little bit so it becomes more obvious that that plane at 9 o'clock is the hero in this. I mean, if you wanted to take it even a little bit further, you could pop his or her smoke trail out a little more too, just a little bit, just to say, this is the hero of the shot. So now we have a story. We know that this guy's the leader, even if that's not what's going on here, but we're telling the story that this one is the leader and the other 4 are subordinate. It's symmetrical. They know what they're doing. Boom. There we go. But cool.
Yep.
I like it. I like the shot though. Yeah, I agree. This is one of my favorites.
That's great. And everything that we're talking about is just something that you can do in post. So the capture was there, which is really one of the most important parts, right? You captured it in camera. You captured the photons.
Yeah. No, for sure. Cool shot. All right. Let's get out of the conundrum from Ernest and moving right along to Nora Zanotinus. Nora says, missing the sight of the sunrise hitting the winglet. Yeah. So am I. Yeah. That's a cool shot, though. Look at that. Look at those colors. So we've seen this shot. People who travel a fair amount, we've seen this shot many, many times, but it's hard to catch it like this with the sort of horizon strata with those colors and the light just sort of glinting off the wingtip like that, or the winglet. It's really cool. Yeah. What do you think?
Yeah, this is really beautiful. I really struggle with the crop because I really felt like the hero was the wingtip, which I want to be above the horizon, of the photo, above the middle of the photo. And so really, I feel like cropping it off at the bottom, to put that horizon on the lower thirds, just push the wings tip just above the center of the image and then just leave it long and horizontal. I don't think we need all that wing to tell the story. I think that the story is that lit wingtip, which is amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard. I mean, you've done this before, right? It's hard shooting out of an aircraft window like that. First of all, it's a luck of the draw if you get a decent window that's not fogged up or scratched up or something like that. But usually you can focus through that, but it's doing that. These are like the perfect iPhone shots. But I agree with you. If you have that resolution, we don't need all of that wing in there. Yeah, the story becomes about the color on the tip, but also the horizon line, the lavender horizon line there is pretty cool, which probably is just horrific carcinogen pollution, but it looks pretty. It looks really nice.
I don't know what you call those pods underneath the wing, but the one that's got the little black tip on the back, I think if you were to crop just above that, like just crop that just out, I think that it would be a stronger image. Don't do anything else with the contrast or increase saturation or anything, because then it'll look too artificial. But yeah, it's a wonderful shot.
Yeah, it's really cool. Simple. I like simple. Simple is fun.
Yeah, it even makes me want to fly.
Yeah, well, yeah, right. No flying for Troy Miller and avoidance of the ocean. And now that, you know what, every time I see people in the ocean now, whether it's in a movie or whatever, I think about Troy Miller and his version to the ocean and why. So thank you for that.
I don't have an aversion to the ocean. I don't want my body in the liquid portion. I want to be near it. I want to smell it. I want to be around it. I want to eat the things.
You don't want to be in the liquid portion of the ocean? Is there another portion of the ocean? Because that solid ocean is much better than the liquid.
Somewhere there's frozen ocean.
Yeah, there's frozen ocean for sure. Speaking of which, I need to get to Iceland. A person I interviewed, man, a decade ago, Troy Miller, a decade ago. Her name is Rebecca Gudlifsdottir. She's from Reykjavik, Iceland. And I did an interview with her about self-portraiture and all this stuff because she does a lot of self-portrait stuff. So she reached out and we were just chit-chatting back and forth. And we were talking about those blue icebergs. And I was like, are the blue icebergs still there? Can I still, is there still a chance for me to shoot them? Apparently they're still there for now. So
for now,
when the world opens up, if things haven't melted completely by the time the world opens up, I still need, it's on my list, blue icebergs. Got to get those. Hey, Moose 408 remembers that interview. Yeah, Rebecca says she's doing well. Rebecca Gudlifsdottir says she dropped out of the photography world and is now re-engaging as photographers tend to do from time to time. Take a breather for 5, 6, 10 years and then come back into it. All right, Craig Stamfley's up next from Down Under. He says, Firewatcher. Troy, you'll be interested to know that of the TWiP audience, looking at our demographic, you want to know how the countries are ranked in terms of download numbers for TWiP? It's the United States, Canada, Australia, then Europe, and then all else. It is so weird. It is so weird. All right.
I think Greg and Mark are doing all the Australian downloads.
It must be, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Look at this one, though. This is cool.
This is a great shot. And I think that one of the things about a shot like this that really draws me in, one of the things I really like about it, is the simplicity, is this idea that it's not hard for me to understand. It's easy to find the subject. It's well balanced in the frame. Your highlight and your shadows are working. I do wish the plane popped out a little bit more specularly. But I think that's just a little bit of dodging and burning, or it could just simply be through Mighty. Maybe the tonality was crushed a little bit. But I love the timing. I love being able to see, the underneath side of the plane. So we really sort of get a profile of that wing. The fact that the prop has a slight blur in it. I think there's a lot of really positive elements to this image. I like it a lot. It's really easy to digest.
Yeah, I agree. These kind of shots are almost like haiku photography. It's just very, very short, very succinct. You know what it's about. You get in, you get out. I agree with the tonality on the plane. I actually don't mind it like this. I think this is perfectly fine like this. But yeah, I do agree that would be even finer if the plane popped out just a little bit more, But yeah, because we like those yellows and.
Yeah, and as I've mentioned before, if you take this image and you rotate it upside down or just even 90 degrees and see where your eye goes, because you're not going to be as drawn to a recognizable object when it's in a disorientated mode, right? I think you'll find that the top left corner is drawing your eye away a lot, because that's where we read into the photo, is in the top left corner. And so of course we keep going back there. And I think if you keep looking at this image, you'll notice your eye keeps bouncing to that top left corner. You keep looking there.
That's true.
And so bringing the tone down, bringing the plane out a little bit. But that's really minor. It's really minor, but I think it could have a big impact on this plane, on this image, this overall image. Very nice, though.
Really cool. Really cool. Yeah, and part of me wants to say, I want to see more plane, punch in. But then, if you punch in, you lose the, I don't know, sort of kinetic energy of where the plane is going, because we feel like it's going somewhere. If you punch in, it just feels like it's hovering. I like it. Very cool shot. Lots of planes. All right. Peter Levshin is up next, and Peter says, Sony AR7 Mark IV 7200 with 1.4. Not much to say other than that. 1.4x what? Teleconverter. This looks like lots of fun. Troy Miller and I are signed up to do this next year at the Huntington Beach Air Show. I'll keep you posted. And then you go, oh? Oh? What's that? Oh, what?
Yeah, that's Peter. My buddy Peter.
I love the compression of this, because they're like right on top of each other. Like, they look like they're right on top of each other. It's really cool.
Yeah. These side profile shots, I really struggle with this, because this is really about that smoke trail, not a lot about the planes. And I don't know how you would do this unless you gave them a lot of space and you had more of the smoke trail in the frame. Right now, to me, I'm not a big fan of it, because they're pushing themselves right against that left border. You've got that subject being the smoke trail. It might be better flipped around to the right, but that won't work, because then the text. I mean,
I wonder if he had played around with, like, even though this wouldn't have been true to life, but he'd play around with different orientations of the planes. Like putting them in the lower right, so they have all that blue to go up to, and they're moving diagonally through the frame, or maybe this is a vertical crop. You just rotate the whole thing vertical, right? And it looks like they're all climbing simultaneously. So in other words, to add interest through the crop, even though this is not necessarily reality, but it's a potential reality. These planes could absolutely climb vertically, or inverted even, right? It could be an inverted shot. Let's say that they're flying upside down.
Right. Yeah, vertical would be really good. Yeah, that would actually really make this image even more powerful. But I think this is one of those type of compositions where your subject matter is getting lost in the simplicity of the overall frame. There's not enough story there for us. We're not really highlighting the subject of the planes. It's a great shot. It's crisp. It's tack sharp. They're not overly stacked on top of each other, so it's a good capture of the moment.
Yeah.
So, and it would be great to move those planes up, and then you have all this room for copy, or the top or the bottom. You got all that room for copy if you want to put something in there.
Totally. This could be horizontally, this could be a 2-page spread, right? Like move the planes up. Your copy goes across both pages at the bottom, and it kind of just closes up like that. You open it up. But I do agree with you, because we always say during these critiques, and it's a general photography rule, that the eye goes to the brightest areas, or the areas of most frequency, or where there's words in the shot. This shot has a whole lot of clouds in it. So, and it's almost competing, or it's very much competing with the planes, which are the subject of the shot. So I agree with you. Yeah, in either case of whatever the crop or rotate on this particular shot, get rid of some of that cloud area and give me more area for these planes to go into. I don't care where they've been. I want to see where they're going, right? So even if you left this crop, I would, content aware, move those guys to the left side a little bit further and get rid of that smoke.
Yeah,
Cool
I
shot,
keep
though.
looking. Yeah, and Steven makes a good point. We keep looking at the high frequency in the smoke trail, and that's really true. Is that we keep looking at that smoke trail. That smoke trail is really dominating this image, and I think that move the planes to the right third, less smoke trail, more sky out in front of them. Rotate it clockwise, maybe give them a little bit more altitude lift, or do like what you said, keep this particular image and rotate it vertical, kind of give us that pseudo rocket launch and play on the on the storytelling there.
Yeah, for sure. Or rotate them so that they're going straight down. It could just be kind of a referendum on 2020 altogether.
Oh,
Planes.
Steven corrects me, and it's the pattern on the tails of the planes. Yeah, those are a little distracting, but I keep looking at
Yeah.
the smoke trail.
Yeah. I mean, if you get into that level of minutia, like part of me wants to see more detail on the planes, right? And we're talking multiple different photographs here. So if the shot is about, look at these planes screaming through the eye in such tight, or through the air in such tight formation, then that's one thing. But my brain is like, I want to get in close because I'm trying to decipher which plane is in front, which one's in the back. How close are these planes together? I'm
Right.
trying to figure that out, and I'm forced to look at that one little patch of pixels to try to figure that out. But that's a completely different shot, right? So it's a different shot if you want to crop in close on these guys and then kind of lead me down the path of trying to figure out the depth scenario here. So.
Yeah, exactly.
Really cool shot.
Exactly.
It's got us thinking though, for sure, doesn't it? What do you think about his? It looks like he's got a vignette on here because it's vignetted at the top and the bottom. Is that it's a little heavy-handed because I know there's a vignette there, as our friend low base guy. Sorry, almost said the word. As our friend low base guy would say, if you could tell that someone did a vignette, it's too much vignette. I could tell there's a little bit of vignette here. How do you feel about it?
Yeah, it's too heavy. Yeah, it's definitely too heavy. I mean, there's just That's Peter. He's heavy-handed.
Cool shot though, but he's out there shooting, which is what's important. All right, next shot is from Steven Scharf. Hey, Steven, B-25 bomber Tondelayo. All right, look at that. This is a page out of time, right?
Yeah, it is.
Very similar to Joshua's shot. Just my first comment, excuse me, is about the foreground. Excuse me. So the foreground, and my brain is going to, lose some of that foreground asphalt, give me more sky. But then if he did that, the shadow that he intentionally, obviously it's part of the shot. If he did that, the shadow might be too close to the bottom of the frame. So in that light, yeah, this is fine. This is great. The other thing is, like you were saying about Joshua's shot, if he changed the perspective a little bit, got a little bit lower, then we'd been able to make out that wing, the wing that's closer to us. We'd be able to make it out a little bit better. But when you first glance at this, the wing, because it's almost on the same plane as the fuselage of the plane, it kind of gets lost in the plane there. If you move down just a little bit, we'd have a little maybe, I don't know, the wing would be against the sky a little bit better, and we'd be able to say, hey, plane, much easier. I don't know. What do you think?
Right. No, I agree with all that. I think that those are things that we need to consider when we're photographing in the moment, like what's going to be the best perspective for this subject. And so often and so easy is it for us to just shoot from where we're standing, and we don't really think about, getting really low. Immediately for me is, you've got the tail fin on the left, and you've got the right wing intersecting each other, and just shooting from a lower angle would have separated those two. So that's one of the things that I've really come to appreciate with the cameras that have the pop out screen on the back, is that, especially the mirrorless, you can just sit that thing right on the ground, and shoot from different perspectives. So I try to do that a lot. I do love the perspective of this, and I like the toning. The horizon is slightly tilted clockwise, so it feels like the plane is rolling a little bit to the right. So I think a little tweak to the left would help a lot. But I love the black and white version. Yeah, and I'm actually playing with it. I've actually got a piece of paper, and I'm actually playing with it. It's only off ever so slightly. But it is off. It is off just a tiny bit. It's tilted to the right. So,
yeah. Steven in the chat says, "Was it? Yeah." Good Dog says, "I doubt he had time to refine the shot." Yeah, and Steven says, "Yeah, it's about to take off." Yeah, you can look at clearly an active runway. The propellers are spinning right there. So this wasn't a air show type shot, or a shot that you had a bunch of static aircraft around and you could just get the shot. Meaning, yeah. No, so he's in and out of there, right?
Right, but it still speaks to the idea that regardless of the situation that you're in, um, that we can change our perspective to improve the image, and we should try if we can. That's
Mm-hmm.
all.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah.
just a matter of, oh, he's coming in. He's clearly. I mean, this movement that he's taxiing didn't happen in seconds. This happens slow enough that you can think ahead, and I think that's where pre-visualizing your shot is really important. Is to
Mm-hmm.
think about, oh, what do I want to show? This may have been really important to show the cockpit. Well, if you shot from a lower angle, you'd lose the cockpit, right? You'd lose the pilot.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to think about, like, what do I want to tell? What story do I want to tell in this shot?
In a split second,
But
while the thing is moving and getting
yep,
ready to take off, and you're on an
that's
active runway, etc.
that's the game. That's the
Yeah.
game. And for
Yeah.
somebody like Steven who shot motorsports, there's no excuse. So
Oh, you mean Steven
I'm
is
giving
used
them
to
a prep,
catching
Steven.
fast-moving vehicles? Yeah, he is.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Stephen Scharf.
Yeah.
Next
Cool
up is
shot,
Michael
good shot.
Duray. Michael Duray says, airplane up close and personal.
I like
Yeah.
that. All
This is
up in
kind
the
of what you were talking
propeller.
about before, about cropping and getting in tighter, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, this is good. Yeah, this is really nice. And the symmetry here is really wonderful. So I really enjoy that. The yellow against the blue is really cool. It's a nice balance in color. So, and it almost kind of plays on your brain a little bit. Seeing that wing, which almost acts like a horizon in the
It
shot because you
does.
can't actually see.
You know what my brain is doing? My brain is going into Troy Miller mode right now, and it's like, is that wing actually horizontal? I feel like it's not. I feel like it's leaning to the right a little bit. Is it? I don't know.
No,
It's
no.
not.
If
It's an
anything, it's
optical illusion.
leaning. If it's leaning any direction, it would be leaning to the left, but it is. Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
am I right? Oh, I'm right. Oh, look at that.
Nope, it's leaning to the left.
Oh, is it?
Yep, it's leaning to the left. Just a hair, just a couple pixels.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Would you do anything differently to this shot, like dodging burning around the engine area at all, or is it good like this?
I think the hero of this shot is the cone on the props there, and the reflection that's in there is what I really like a lot. So I think cropping in tighter right next to the motors, to the engine,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe just bringing our focus with our maybe a gradient into that cone.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Josh, the low base guy says it's leaning left. Ginger Bearding says it's
yep.
leaning backwards. You got comedians in here. It's a good bunch of comedians.
Yeah, it's leaning backwards. Yeah, it's definitely rotated counterclockwise a little bit.
But cool shot, Michael Duray. Thank you for that. From East Sparta, Ohio. All right. Well, that's it. That's the last one.
Yeah.
Am I right? Is that the last one? I believe it is.
Yep.
That was last week. Cool. All right. So, what do you think, Troy Miller? Do you have a favorite? You have a favorite child to select?
I do. I'm really torn. I really love Erik Pronske's a lot. I think that the idea of shooting from inside the plane is super unique, and it's a little bit different than what we've seen in all the other images. And I really like that. If it didn't have the engines on the outside with the props, it wouldn't work as strong for me. So that one's definitely one of my favorites. And then
Yeah, and I like
North.
Ernest. I like Ernest. The
And
this
Ernest.
one. Let's see.
Oh yeah, yeah. The
This
split.
shot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that one. They're all good. But I like this shot. I like what he did there. But then I don't know. I don't know if I like it because my brain is like liking it from the potential of the shot. Like, okay, if he cropped it like this and got rid of those clouds and pop that plane out, which we can't judge on. We got to judge on the merits of the shot itself. So you like this one, right?
I do like that one a lot. I think there's a lot of story in there, and I think that it's well balanced. I think there's a lot of story in there, and it's clearly an airplane. It's got some history, it's got some story, and it's got some, some creative balance within the image. Where you've got
Yeah.
three segments and each have a little bit of different story in there. So
Yeah. Okay, we'll go with this one. Now that you think about it, I like the fact that it is less literal. We are in a plane, but clearly we're in a plane. But it's not about the plane; it's about what's going on in the plane, and
right.
the processing of it was obviously intentional to take us back in time a little bit and kind of put us in place where these guys with what these guys were going through. So cool shot. All
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
so we'll go with that.
It's a
That's our favorite.
yeah,
Erik
little
Pronske.
bit of an artsy twist to it. Being a little bit different perspective too. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I like it. And I don't think Erik hasn't won one of these yet. So that's his first win. So
All right. Erik Pronske,
yeah.
congratulations there. All right. Looking in the chat here. Oh, they're just talking. They're just talking about stuff.
Yeah, they don't need us.
They're just chatting. You guys even care? You even care what we're talking about on the screen here?
Only when
Okay,
we're on
so
their image.
what did you say next week's topic is going to be? Botanical? Was that next week?
No. Next week's topic is artistic, or I'm sorry, abstract portraiture.
Ooh.
Abstract portraiture.
And
So
Craig Colvin is not allowed to submit images into next week.
hey, the wonderful thing about competition, or bringing a bunch of images together, is that you never know who's gonna bring in what. So Stephen asked for clarification on abstract portraiture. So when I say abstract portraiture, we normally look at portraiture pretty traditionally, right? Like 3/4, headshot, Rembrandt, whatever. And taking an artistic twist on that, maybe doing a portrait from a reflection, looking at the water, and it's distorting the face a little bit. Shooting through a different element, or using a different lens treatment, defocusing, or something of that nature. I don't want to give away too many ideas, but the idea that it's not a literal translation of a portrait.
Okay. So
um
we're not doing
you know
we're not the school photo with the tilt and all
yeah,
that stuff. None of that. So this would be more, if you were to take a shot like that this would be more of maybe a unique crop on a shot like that is more abstract in nature. Or are you talking more processing on the post processing side?
well, a little bit. I mean, both. You've got to really sort of think about what abstract would mean, in the sense that it's not literal, right? And you could think about like film noir. A lot of film noir type of shots are abstract in nature, in that you might be looking into a compact, as a woman's putting on some lipstick, and then in the background, that's what's in focus, but the compact is actually a portrait of her, as there's a shadow of a dagger or something. um, so the portrait element of that would be very abstract in there,
Mm-hmm.
because it's
Yeah.
out of focus, or it's not the traditional sense. I'm trying to skate around, like, giving definitive.
You're trying not to be too obvious about what an abstract portrait is. I mean, you could go on Pinterest and type abstract portrait, right? And that's generally what I do, and that'll give you an idea of what some people think an abstract portrait is, right?
Right. Right. I mean, there's a lot you can do. I mean, if you look at like any images by like Picasso, or some of the painters, Salvador Dali, they're very abstract, where the image itself has been broken up and torn, and jaws. Some digital artists, will replace the jaws with mechanical pieces or gears. It still has a recognizable person in there, but it's not a literal portrait.
Right.
So
Right. Yeah.
yeah.
Interesting. All right. Well, this is a loose one, right? So it's these loose ones are always exciting to kind of see what the crowd comes up with as they interpret these critique topics that are very subjective in nature, right? Because
Yeah, and
abstract
if you just
portraiture.
do Yeah, if you just do a Google search for abstract portraits, you'll find some really, really, really crazy creative stuff. So, people melting, or, people as sketches, and, there's just so many ways you can do that. So, and I know our community can kick butt doing it. So,
Here we go. Here's
yep.
some abstract portraits. Yeah, there you
Yep.
go. Oh yeah,
Yep.
these are gonna be cool. Yeah,
Yep. And
Troy, you should do some mixed
one that I'm
media.
gonna. Yeah, I actually have one that I'll put in. I've shared it with the community before, but I'll throw one in there to kind of get it
Yeah,
started.
yeah, this is gonna be fun. Yeah, these are really cool. Cool, good topic, man. Good topic.
Yeah. I figured the one of the last abstracty type topics, or the open, needs to be something that challenges our brain. So,
Yeah, what's our last topic of the year? Is that the botanical one, or is there one after that?
botanical.
Botanical is last of the year. Okay.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right.
And the reason I did abstract portraiture, and then right after I did botanical, I thought, like, botanical is such a huge category. It should be super easy, short
Yeah.
of open, right? It
Yeah.
shouldn't be
Yeah.
tough.
Yeah. There are plants everywhere. Everywhere. Some kind of
Yep.
organism. Cool, man. All right.
Yep.
Well, we'll leave that one right here. Yeah, I know you guys. You have something going on this week, right? Aren't you doing a talk or with Michael Rhino's group or
Um,
something?
yes, on the 15th. What is that? Tomorrow. So yeah, so definitely. So tomorrow, Tuesday, I am doing a program for the Lone Tree Photo Club, which is in Colorado, for Michael Rhino, one of our fellow TWiPers. So I'll be doing a program on the business and art of wedding photography. So we're going to be talking a lot about the wedding industry and wedding photography in general. So
Very cool. All right.
he's
All
posted. I
right.
don't have the link. I can't tell you the link because it's a very long Zoom link. But if you're part of TWiP, definitely ping Michael Rhino, and he'll send you the registration link for Zoom. It's an open program, so everybody's
Yeah.
welcome.
Or Michael Rhino. Make sure you just make a post it in the community to be top of mind for folks.
Yeah,
Cool. All right.
yeah, it'll be
Well, we'll
good.
leave it right there. So yeah, like I was saying at the beginning, folks, if you missed it, I'll be sending out a note. I think I'll probably just do it as an email or something, or maybe a post in the community that will notify everybody that I'm going to do a test for about an hour where we'll have folks file in, bring an image, and we're going to do kind of a different kind of critique thing. So yeah, I would love to have your involvement in that, because if it works out as I think it will, or as my tests indicate it will, it could become kind of a permanent fixture into how we're able to interact as a group and share feedback with each other outside of this forum, where you guys are in the chat commenting and we're on stage. This is a different sort of modality from that. So keep an eye out for that. Could be really, really interesting. And remember, Troy Miller said next week, a week from today, or what, 23 hours, 22 and a half hours from now, or 6 days, 22 and a half hours, we will be doing another critique. And that one will be on the topic of Troy Miller. What is it? Abstract.
Abstract portraits.
Yep.
Or abstract
Abstract
portraiture. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is going to be fun. This will be fun.
Yep.
Cool. All right, folks. Thank you for everything. Everybody, please stay safe out there. You know what I'm talking about. And go take some photos. Yeah, here's a challenge outside of this is a challenge I'm giving myself outside of the sort of critique thing, or even show and tell within the community. Take a picture of something or some genre that you are uncomfortable with photographing. Try that. A photograph in a genre that you are uncomfortable with, or not, or otherwise unfamiliar with. Like if you're motorsports and you shoot a lot of motorsports, do some portraiture or some fashion work. Or if you shoot a lot of fashion or whatever, go out and shoot some street photography and see what that feels like, just to kind of get out of your comfort zone. So, all
Oh
right.
yeah, that would be. I don't do the street photography thing too well.
No, why not?
It's I like talking to people, and I'm totally cool with talking to people, but I feel like that there's that safe barrier that we all have, our bubble,
Hmm.
and I don't have a good technique to break into somebody else's bubble and get permission to photograph them. It's
Yeah,
really
it's
it's
hard.
really tough.
It is
As
hard.
outgoing as I am, it's kind of hard to break into that, especially
Yeah.
some of the stuff that's more emotional or some. I gotta have like a purpose for it. I can't just say, "Oh yeah, would you like to take a picture of you and your sexy tattoos?" I'm like, it
Yeah. Let me guess. You were the shy
doesn't
kid in high
translate.
school. You were shy. You were the shy guy in high school at prom and all that stuff, right? And I bet
I
Margie
was
had
the
to ask
bully
you
kid
out.
in high school.
Margie had to ask you out, didn't she? It was.
It, no, it's no look, dude. It's no joke. I was bullied in junior high and high school, and Margie was the one that approached me in junior high.
Wow.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I hear you.
So
I was too. I
somewhere in
was
the back
too.
of my mind, it's still there. Yep.
Yeah. Well, it's hard. I did an interview, and we'll end on this. I did an interview with this photographer, a New York based photographer that's been shooting street photography in New York City for the last 40 years. So, can you imagine the things that this guy has seen and the situations he's been in? And he's somehow managed to get that gene that you and I don't have of being okay with bursting that personal bubble and striking up a conversation that ends in, "Hey, you mind if I take your picture?" for no specific reason, right? So it's difficult.
Yep.
It's an interesting conversation. I agree with you, Troy. I am not sort of wired to do that, to like to want to get in people's space and interrupt their day for the sake of my photo. It feels weird. I even asked him about long lenses, so I was like, well, why not just use a long lens and be a voyeur and stand across the street and do all your street photography? And he was like, I'm paraphrasing, but he basically said that is disingenuous to the art of street photography. It's about
Yeah.
engaging and getting that shot. So I
Yeah,
don't
I
know.
agree. I mean, when I'm photographing portraits and I'm doing, weddings and families and romantic sessions, there's a space, and it's right at a 35 millimeter, that you have to be uncomfortably close for most people. If they let you get that close and let you photograph them, it's a completely different look, because it's a little bit more intimate. It's a little bit more personal than if you shoot with a long lens from across the room.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's hard. Michael Coutts, one of the TWiP members, he's been posting some stuff lately. He's really good at going out and photographing the homeless and talking to them and doing his street photography. He's really good at it. He can break
Yeah.
into those conversations. I'm not good with it. So
Yeah, it's dangerous. We did a show several years ago. I want to say it was like 2 or 3 years ago about these two tourists that went to, they're in LA, and kind of you know, a a place in LA. I forget what the exact area or neighborhood was, but a place in LA where it was, at the time at least, there were a lot of homeless people there. And they're
Mhm.
tourists, right? And they're like, yeah, let's get some shots of homeless people in Los Angeles. And I think I've told the story before. What happened was, yeah, there were funerals, later, because the women lost their lives because they approached the wrong person at the wrong time. Didn't ask permission to take the shots, and just was sort of acting entitled that, yeah, you're on the street, I can take your picture, that kind of thing. So there's that. And even this guy that I interviewed, he was talking about, he had some situations. He didn't go into detail, and I didn't want him to, but he was talking about, he had some situations where it didn't end nicely for him, and he had to stop shooting for a while because of, just sort of that PTSD from that particular incident. But then he
Yeah.
got back out there and went out again. But there's, yeah, you're right. In street photography, you don't know who you're talking to or you're approaching on the street. You don't know what kind of day they
No.
had. You don't know what they think about you as a person or what their worldview is. Or if they're hiding from the law. There's a lot of stuff
And
going on. You don't know. So
and some people are not stable. Like I know that Michael, a lot of the guys that Mike likes to go photograph are these homeless that live on the streets in LA. and they're not mentally as stable as we may think to a normal person, right? Where you could have a dialogue that, hey, I'm uncomfortable, get away from me. They don't react the same way. So it's the street photography, depending on where you go and how you do it, there is a complete technique and style and art just to getting their confidence to allow them to photograph you. So
yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, we even talked in that interview, we talked about the differences between street photography and photojournalism. And is there a difference, And it turns out there is a difference, and he drew an obvious circle around the differences in the interview, and I was like, duh, okay, I get it. So you'll have to listen to find out what the differences are.
Yeah, very interesting.
All right, Troy. Well, we'll leave it right there, my friend. Thank you, everyone, for joining us again. This is becoming a habit. You know how we do, man. We start something and then just continues on. If the universe allows it to continue on, we continue on. So the universe has been benevolent with these live streams, so we'll keep them up as long as it allows us to, and we'll go from there. So we'll leave it right there, everyone. Troy Miller, you and your family stay safe over there, and same for the chat and everybody watching this after the fact. Be good, and we will see you all next week. Take care.
Take care, everyone.
This is TWiP.